So all these videos that I do is to prove to you that you can survive the symptoms with being unvaccinated, facing your symptoms and all your pain head on, feeding all your symptoms, all the food in the food supply. And yeah, you're going to have to deal with every single predisposition you ever had. And it's interesting with these COVID variants, how very diverse they are and how they affect you. See, I don't know if it's the different variants that affect different parts of the body, or it's my body picking and choosing how the variant is going to affect me based upon its own intelligence. Like the body won't destroy you while it's healing, so as long as you give it every single food in the food supply and you support it correctly. And so if a body's exposed, if a body has enough intelligence and is exposed to a lot of variance in the environment, well, I don't see, here's the thing. In the beginning 2020, the variant was not mutating. It was a strong variant, but people were experiencing the respiratory side because they were ending up in the hospital on respirators in the beginning. But how it affected me, and I don't think it mutated that quickly, but maybe it did, I don't know. But how it affected me in the beginning was the throbbing headaches on each side of my temples, to the point where I was like eating so much steak because I knew steak was brain food, and I had to sleep, and it was like feeling like little tiny mini strokes in my head. And my husband said the same thing when he was experiencing it as well. And so then each variant that I get exposed to affects different parts of my body, and I have a different experience. And so, but I survive them and I don't have to be in the hospital. Some of them are more intense than others, absolutely. But they're not forever. I'm not gonna be a long hauler. Okay, long haulers are where their body is stuck in a loop. And so they're, just say like yesterday, this myalgia. Let's say my body was stuck in a loop, which happens with people with chronic autoimmune disorders. They will have that continuous feeling of fibromyalgia or diabetes or some other type of exotic disease that has a continuous playback, and the body experiences a continuous pain based upon triggers. Yes, because diabetes is based upon either low insulin, high sugar, whatever, the combination of diabetes, like a lupus and fibromyalgia and rheumatoid arthritis is all based upon different triggers in the environment, and then also the body attacking itself. So, so when you're stuck in a loop, it's because you have not given your body what it needs to finally get over or get past that loop and release that excess, and then also heal or regenerate the parts of the body that are stuck in the loop. And so that really makes a lot of sense to me. Okay, so the long haulers are the ones that experience these types of symptoms and they can't get out of that loop. They're just stuck in time. And it's torturous. I mean, that's why they're on the chemotherapy. That's why people who are with autoimmune disorders are stuck on cannabis and self-medicating, because there's nothing the system can do. Yeah, okay, here's the thing. There was something on IFL Science that said that they cured somebody's autoimmune disorder, some little girl's autoimmune disorder. When you cure somebody, obviously you're having the body work against itself. And the reason why there was an autoimmune disorder, because the body was trying to upgrade, it got stuck in the loop and it couldn't get out of it. And so instead of allowing the person to get out of that loop and evolve, they then stopped that broken record, but they never fixed the issue. They just stopped the inflammation, stopped that. They probably used antibodies or some kind of mRNA to then go after those antibodies that were causing the inflammation. Because there's ways you can program the body to work against itself, and you'll be in a relatively cured state for a short amount of time, And yeah, you could be very good at whatever you're doing. You could be programmed in a way for a short amount of time or a long amount of time relative to how much nips and tucks down the road and then pass away. That's why people die in our society, because they're stuck in a cured state. They don't want to change and evolve. They don't want to adapt to the new variants, the new evolution in the atmosphere. And so the body then says, okay, it doesn't have what it takes to then get past the point where you did not want to feel any pain. Because yeah, you'll feel some pain. Some of you are okay with feeling some pain. You're fine with it, right? But when it's a major pain, that's a major evolution. That's your breaking point. That's where you said, I am not going to evolve past this point. Okay? And so everybody has their price, right? And everyone has their certain breaking point, because they don't understand the symptoms. And so that for me, I could deal with myalgia. I could deal with any type of pain because I know it's going to be short lived. I trust my body to get me through. I trust the food supply. I understand mucus, and I know I'll get through whatever it is I get exposed to. And so I'm hoping that people that are on the JJ mentality are feeling the same things that I'm feeling, because it means that they have exposed themselves to different variants. They're allowing their body to feel, heal, and seal, and they keep feeding their body the advanced forms of the food supply, not the organic crap and the twigs and berries and shit, but I'm talking about all the food in the food supply. And so, yeah, I do become a little insulting, because either you're going to, this is all physics, you're either going to lash out at me and do an equal, like, well, you suck too, right? Because there's three ways in which you react to someone insulting you. You lash back, you raise the bar, or you lower the bar. And so I am what I am and say what I say, because either you're going to lash back at me and say that I'm stupid, which is usually the common reaction to all of my information, or people will raise the bar. They will then, either they'll prove to themselves that maybe I'm right, so they raise the bar for themselves. They won't say anything, because God forbid should they give me any kind of credit, but they'll do it themselves. They'll listen to my information, not say anything, but listen to my information and maybe apply it to their life. And they'll see the results, and they'll raise the bar. They won't give me any credit, but I don't need it. As long as they're alive and they see the proof themselves, then they will stay alive, and who knows what they'll do with that information. Or you lower the bar. You find every way to prove me wrong. You go around and infect everyone with your opinion about my information. And so then you'll lower the bar, and then you'll lower the bar around in your community and increase the mortality rate in your circle of people. And that's really the three ways people react to my information. And so now I just say whatever the hell, because I don't even care. I am not beholden to anyone's feelings anymore. My husband knows how I feel, and I purposely put myself on this type of island because I know that my stuff is very inflammatory, and a lot of people will take my information as an offense because they'll think I'm talking about them. But I'm telling you, everyone out there has the same kind of situation. They either have kids, they have autoimmune disorders, they have cancer, they're aging, they've gone through chemotherapy, cannabis, they're on their prescription drugs, or addicted to alcohol. Okay, so everyone's going to take offense that's not doing the JJ mentality, playing out in the games out there. So at this point, I'll just say whatever the hell I say, and either you're going to raise the bar, lower the bar, or you're going to lash out, which is the equal sign. But when you're in a cured state lashing out, you're not evolving, you're not devolving because you're still alive, but eventually you will, because being in a cured state is the third law of thermodynamics. That is, when you're in a cured state of decline, like an object that is in an isolated system will not die, but you're not in an isolated system. So a cured object in an isolated system won't die, but you're not in an isolated system. And if you're in a cured state, you will die. See, there's ways to look at thermodynamics and what is not being said. Okay. So we're all in a dynamic environment. And if you're in a cured state trying to lash out at me and say that I'm stupid, in the process, you're dying. You're dying, and you're going to be, eventually the atmosphere is going to work against you. So you might as well raise the bar, because why lower it? Why destroy yourself? But people do, and whatever. Or you can ignore my information and still do what you do, but that's still the same thing as you're lowering actually you're just, you're in a cured state. When people don't even react to my information, they just ignore it, they're in a cured state. So it's like having a reaction and no reaction, raising the bar, lowering the bar, it's all physics. Everything is physics. That's the whole thing with those little parakeets, that picture that showed you the neutron and the proton are like friends and the electron's like out there. The electron is evolution. It'll add or take away stuff, right? The proton and the neutrons are always hanging out together because it is equal and positive. It's being a neutron and star is in like an equilibrium. It has power, but it's not more powerful than the proton. The proton's very powerful, and so they orbit each other. They hang out together. And then the electron is out there dictating. That's the salt. The salt is the electron. Salt is ionic. It'll add and take away. It'll activate and cause things to covalently bond, or it will take away substance based upon then your usage and your intention. And so that's why salt is such an amazing type of thing, because it's a two-pronged type of energy. It's a catalyst and it's a cure. Catalyst to evolution and it's a cure. But remember, in a cured state, you don't survive in a dynamic environment. So anyways, I wanted to just prove to you that I can get through these exposures. And I even wore a mask. Okay, I even wore a mask when I got exposed to this variant. I think I had a little bit of mucus, not too much. I think I coughed a little bit when I was outside for a minute yesterday, but no major coughing. It was just the pain. My husband, I asked my husband, honey, how did your body feel? Because I know that if I'm experiencing it, he's experiencing it. He said his whole body was in pain. And I'm like, wow, okay. But he still went to work. He still like kicked ass at work. I mean, he's a freaking Superman, I tell you what. And so I know that these variants that we get exposed to, it affects us a little bit differently. And yeah, I think he slept in a little bit the other day. And so, I'm able to go through the process and eat all the food to feed the viruses and sleep when I need to. Because if I'm showing you the extreme side of what you can do in reaction to your viruses, if you had all the time in the world, if you didn't have kids or a job or all these different responsibilities, you can find a way in between my extreme way of reacting, which is getting, like, I have such a luxury that I can get sleep, I could eat, I could do whatever I kind of want. So as long as my husband is fed and the laundry's done and the house is relatively clean and the dog is still alive. So I have a lot more freedom than those. So if I treat and react to my symptoms with sleep and with eating and be fine the next day after I've reversed all my issues, imagine what is possible for you if you give yourself time to sleep. It doesn't have to be as much as I did it all day. I did it all the way, like I slept all day yesterday. But if you have kids, that may not be possible. But if you can carve out some time and your husband comes home, let's say at 4 o'clock, you say, okay, husband, you take care of the kids. I have to sleep. And you have everything laid out for him and make sure that he's assisted in make sure the kids are okay and he's okay with that. And you have a great relationship with your husband. Then you can get the sleep and eat and the time and the space. So as long as you know that you need that. You may not be 100% the next day, but at least you can start, managing expectations. Okay, if when you're in a partnership with somebody and you have kids, you're going to have to work with your partner on how you can heal and seal so you can survive all these different variants. And some of you, like I said, if you haven't dealt with your predispositions, if you haven't reversed all your issues, you're going to be dealing with some shit, I'm telling you. And it's going to be very difficult for those right now in this environment trying to do the JJ mentality and still do with your kids, with your husband, with a job or whatever, and try to heal. Because I'm telling you, some of these symptoms that you have already predisposed to are going to be aggressive. And then you know how they are because you look at your own genetic line, if you know about your genetic line, and you know what you've dealt with and what you've had to suppress through vectors, through therapeutics, that's going to come up. Every single symptom that you've ever suppressed, ever since you were in utero that you know about, is going to come up with not only the virus, because you see people reacting to the virus with major issues, right? It's not like the virus did it to them. It's the fact that they already hold that programming and the virus is upgrading and the body is upgrading in response to the virus. Like right now, I got exposed to a virus. I have the muscle pain, but I don't have all the skin inflammation. I mean, my muscles need the upgrade, but I don't have the headaches from that virus. I don't have the skin inflammation. I didn't have the respiratory side of it. So it means that my body already dealt with the respiratory upgrades, the headaches upgrades, the skin upgrades, the eye pain, ear pain, all the things people have pain in their body. I already dealt with all of that. The hemorrhoids, the yeast infections, the UTIs, I mean, all the candida stuff, whatever, all of that has been dealt with in the past, actually prior to the COVID. So when the COVID came around, I had a few things more that the body needed to upgrade to relative to the virus's intentions. And so, yeah, I feel bad for anyone trying to do the J juice now. Not that it's impossible, but you really have to have a very strategic setup so you can make time for all your priorities. And it's going to take strategy. I'm telling you, it's going to take strategy. Some people don't have what it takes because it's just too much strategy. Their partner isn't on board. Their kids weren't trained to be relatively independent. So they're always so needy on your ass all the time. And you haven't figured out how to go against that. And so, yeah, you're going to be the sacrificial mama, dada, and, parental guardian. But those that are not in that situation, your kids are relatively independent, you have a great relationship with your husband who's willing to support you in this, carve out the time to eat and to sleep in reaction to any viral upload, to any type of reaction. Because I tell my husband, honey, I'm not cooking today, or I'm cooking today, but this is all you're getting. Okay. And then I'll go straight to bed if it's that bad. It hasn't been that bad. I still made some pretty good spaghetti last night. I still made some pretty good food the other night. Yesterday I made some kind of Asian chicken, and I made my own Asian sauce because I had apricot jam. I had soy sauce, and I had the sesame oil, and I had some garlic and some other spices. And so I made my own little dark sauce with the chicken and the rice and some broccoli. And so sometimes I can still be creative even when I'm dealing with some shit. And so I could juggle being creative and deal with these variants that do affect me. And so, yeah, writing this book has been like a holy crap. It's been like a freaking journey writing this book because I have to take breaks in between to deal with my evolution, to deal with putting down boundaries in so many areas of my life, to deal with me dealing with the environment, the microbial environment. Okay? And so that's the power of the JJ when you finally get off it, when you're actually willing to deal with your stuff. See, in the beginning of JJ, like I said, in the beginning of JJ, you're going to feel everything. That's why everyone was freaking out. And so then that's why I get pissed off people in my group that are coming back to the JJ. I said, you have to deal with pain. And JJ is going to bring up the pain. It's going to. You've got to deal with it. And they still don't want to deal with the pain. And I'm just like, well, what the hell? And so finally, when they don't feel pain anymore, which they haven't gotten to that point yet, and I'm glad they haven't, because they still got to deal with that pain with the JJ mentality. At some point, people do not feel pain. They're in a cured state. Then you got to get off the JJ and deal with the variants. And no more cured state anymore. Now you have to just deal with your environment. And if the environment is very aggressive out there, then you stay home. Even wearing a mask is not going to be 100%. But then people are like, oh, I don't want to stay home. I want to be out and about and do this and do that. Well, then you got to pick and choose. Is it your life it's more important, or is it their life, people that you are going hanging out with, more important? And that's what people have to choose. Are they going to be a martyr and a sacrificial lamb for their family and friends and everyone out there? Or they're going to start managing their life at home, more than not. I know it's impossible to be at home all the time, but you start managing your time so that way you have time to heal, so you're not always recovering from hanging out with your friends and family. Because at some point when you get off the J juice, which you will, because you have to, you can't stay on it forever. Okay? You're going to have to finally deal with the fluctuating environment. And there's 7 billion people mutating so many new and different viruses. Eventually, you're going to have to change your lifestyle. That is the point of this new world order. It's not going to be this. This is not the same America anymore, you guys. I know you want it to be like everything back to normal. Everyone was thinking that. Oh, no. The conspiracy community saw the writing on the wall. Did we know actually how it was going to unfold and what it was going to look like? No, but we had an idea there was going to be some major changes. So we already primed ourselves for the major changes. We just didn't know how it was going to end up. But this is how it's going to end up. You're either going to sacrifice yourself for your friends and your family and your belief system and your lifestyle, or you're going to start changing the way you think about things, changing the way you do things, get out of the binary arguments, learn how to be independently on your own, relatively independent on your own, and start cultivating your brain. Because that's really all there is either you cultivate your brain and find a way to be useful without having to be around a bunch of people, or you want to be around a bunch of people and have those social engagements. Well, guess what? It's going to work against you, regardless whether you're vectored or not. Because I'll tell you what, if you're not vectored and you're trying to go out there with people, the environment's going to cannibalize you, and either you'll be doing so much J juice that the J juice and the environment will cannibalize you simultaneously, and you won't survive very long, or you're vectored and your immune system is going to be activated by all the people around you, and that's going to tax the hell out of you. But you won't know it because you won't feel it, because you have all this mRNA that's attacking your evolution. Eventually, at some point, like they said on the inserts, this may happen. This could be what's in your future. Because how can you have your body attack your evolution? You don't evolve in a dynamic environment without some kind of deficit type of disease. What are the deficit diseases? Cancer, disease, chronic illness, and autoimmune disorders. That tells you your body's at a deficit because you've never learned how to adapt to your environment, and you're always taking therapeutics, getting shit taken out of you, getting stuff sucked out of you, starving yourself on these organic diets. And I said, yeah, people who eat organic are diminishing in their intelligence. People who deny themselves food are diminishing their intelligence. People who cannot adapt to all the food in the food supply and play the whole GMO versus organic are diminished in intelligence. And I'll tell you what, I got a reaction by somebody who did the whole lashing out, well, you're killing people. And I'm like, absolutely you would say that. Because obviously you didn't want to go and respond to my other post, but that one about eating organic is diminishing intelligence really hit home with that person, because they probably eat organic. They probably can't handle most of the food supply or even a little bit of the food supply. And so that means that, yeah, they're not evolving. They're diminishing in intelligence. And they're going to be in this cured state, stuck with their predispositions forever because they don't know how to get out of it. They're stuck in a loop. They're like a broken record. And that is insulting people who feel that they have no power. When you finally have power and realize you don't have to be a broken record, then what I say isn't insulting. It's like, holy shit, thank you so much, Jillian. You're awesome. You gave me a way out of what I thought I couldn't get out of. So people who are thankful for my information, they understand it and they're finding a way out of it. People who rebel against my information and resist it and sneer at my information, they're stuck in that broken record of life, and then death is inevitable. And then they're pissed off at anyone out there that challenges their beliefs because they think this is the way it is. And when you say, well, no, it doesn't have to be, and they've painted themselves in a corner for whatever reason, they will lash out at anyone that tries to change them or say that maybe, it doesn't have to be, because they don't have the power to change their life. And so instead of being mad at themselves, they'll be mad at anyone else out there. I see it all the time. You have the power to change all this shit, you guys, but you choose not to. You want to be a broken record? Fine. You're not going to survive very long in this society being a broken record. You have to evolve. It's only two choices. You live by the laws of physics or you die by the laws of physics. You either evolve or you devolve. That's it. And in the meantime, those are devolving or in a cured state. That's what life is in our society, is a cured state of decline. And thank God I finally had the language to explain. Because you're like, well, how is it that, we have this life of 60 years? Yeah, humans are lucky. We're not like these rabbits that have a very short lifespan, like a year or two or whatever the lifespan of a rabbit. That's why they procreate so much. That's why they F like rabbits, because rabbits have to procreate so much in order to keep the population maintained. Humans, we think we're like rabbits, and then here's what happens. You have 7 billion people at various, different sets of decline, different, sets of de-evolution. And so then we have psychopathic, sociopathic people out there that make problems for themselves in society. And then you also see it all in the activist world, the binary arguments. So anyways, I'm going to go, but I want to let you know that I survived the myalgia portion of the COVID. It only took me 2 days from my exposure to deal with it. 2 days. That was it. Imagine people going through their whole life with fibromyalgia. Then they have to take cannabis and chemotherapy so they don't feel the energy and the pain. And in the meantime, their body is falling apart. It doesn't have to be that way. You just got to give your body rest. You give your body time. You give your body food. And you face it all head on. But the more you resist, the more it will persist. Resistance is futile. Start evolving, you guys, because you won't survive if you don't. You won't survive very long if you don't. All right, bye.